Hello. Happy May. Happy Thursday, everyone. I always like to double check. Let me know. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Are we live? I have not been on LinkedIn Live in actually some time, although I am active on LinkedIn all the time. So it is exciting to be here with you. I'm a little raspy. Our family is going through some end of season pollen allergies, fun things. So um, apologize for the raspiness. But today I am very excited. We are live streaming. We are on LinkedIn. We are on YouTube. Shout out where you are tuning in from. And yes, we are. I can see we are live. I am here with a very exciting event, an opportunity for nonprofits. As you know, something that I am extremely passionate about and have really dedicated the last 4 to 5 years of my business all around is subscriptions for good, recurring giving. And I have always felt really passionate about the alignment of the subscription economy that we've really been living in for the last decade plus, and how we as nonprofits ask our supporters to become recurring first donors. And these worlds intersect because we, as subscription consumers, are the same people that are the monthly donors to our organizations. So when I came across SubSummit, this event that's happening in just a few weeks, May 28th through 30th in Dallas, I think I came across it a year ago or 2 years ago. I was like, oh my gosh, like we need to be there. We need to be in this space. It has all the big names, the HelloFresh and the Netflix and Disney Plus, and nonprofits should be here to be learning. Yes, hey, Wendy. I am so excited to see you there, to have more nonprofits in this space, to be in the proximity, which is the name of this session, to learn. We are all working on the same things: acquisition, retention, engagement, having a great, whether donor experience, consumer experience. And so today, the co-founder, which we are very fortunate to have with us, Paul Chambers, is going to join us live. Paul, I'm going to go ahead and just bring you on. Paul's been doing this work for 10 years. This is the 10th SubSummit. Paul,
Right?
one, like props. That's huge kudos for outside of COVID, every single other year was in person.
Yeah, yeah. And it was wild coming back from COVID too. And also, thanks so much for having me on and getting some time to chat this morning. I'm super excited.
Yes, that is monumental. And as somebody who has just put on for the past like like in 6 months, 2 virtual events in person is a whole other beast. What 10 years ago, why did you create SubSummit?
Um, so that's a loaded question, and it's a funny scenario because it all started. We were running a subscription box called the Gentleman's Box. It was a monthly subscription of ties, pocket squares, socks, anything to make the average guy into a true gentleman. And sometimes it worked, and sometimes it did. But what we, along the way, we were like, we wanted to find conferences to attend, and we're like, oh, we'll go to this e-commerce conference, or we'll go over
Mm,
here and go over there. And I said to my partners, I was like, why don't we? There has to be a subscription box conference we can go to. Why don't
yeah.
we go to one of those? And Google didn't exist. And so, we're entrepreneurs, we're crazy, and we're like, let's just start one. That sounds easy.
Sounds like
Turns out
something I did.
Right, exactly. And also, I think we came across each other at the exact same time. I think our universes collided because I found Monthly Giving Summit about the same time you found Sub Summit, and like all of a sudden we became best friends.
Yeah.
But I think so then you fast forward to I think it was 2016. We decided in June or July of 2016 that we are going to host the first Sub Summit in September, and we're like, let's just invite a bunch of people. And we were so fortunate at the time. Liz Cadman, who is a leading influencer in the space, got on board. She ran my subscription addiction for many years. So wealth of knowledge. She said she was going to show up. Michael Brookram from FabFitFun said he would be there, one of the co-founders of FabFitFun. And then Katya Beecham, who was one of the co-founders of Birchbox at the time.
Wow.
And all of a sudden we had an event,
Yeah.
and 200 people came into the room that very first year, and it was
Wow.
awesome. And I remember sitting with Michael that night, and he goes, guys, this conference is going to be far bigger than your subscription box ever will be. And we're like a little heartbroken because we're like, oh, we love our subscription box business. But what I love about what we do with SubSummit is it allows us to be even more impactful than we ever were with Gentleman's Box. And that's kind of what I love about your space too. There's so much impact that's happening. And what we're able to do is take, help bring these companies together that can then have impact on hundreds of thousands, if not millions of other people out there because of the
Yeah,
relationships that people have in subscription. I mean, you said it first, it's recurring first, and the relationship starts with that commitment from
that's
a
right.
member or from a subscriber. So that's a long story. Fast forward 10 years, here we are. Michael Brookham's actually coming back this year to speak at SubSummit, and super excited about that. And super excited about
So
where it's
cool.
going.
No, I love that, and I think you nailed it, where I've been focusing on this a lot in my business. There are at the very beginning of the year, I got many people asking me, "What conferences should I attend this year?" And my question back was, "Well, what actually do you wanna focus on this year?"
Mm,
And it is, I think the reason that the monthly giving summit, SubSummit have become so successful is because we are so niche focused into one thing. Most
right.
conferences have literally everything in the sun for you to focus on. And you're like popping around to different things and you like get a little idea maybe for some, a little on this, but you don't really get to go deep
Mhm.
into one area of focus. And that's what both of our events do. And so I'm very excited for all the nonprofits that have already joined us. And I don't want to bury the lead. I think what's amazing, I'm going to pop this on the screen, is if your organization generates more than 500K in annual revenue, you are eligible for a free ticket to the event and $750 in travel and reimbursement. This is huge. So I am very excited for everybody to be in the room together. For those that are questioning, is this where I should be? I wanted to literally start with this. Like,
Yeah.
why is this in this moment in time, especially such a unique event and specifically focus on recurring giving? Like, why should somebody attend? Why specifically should a nonprofit attend?
Yeah. So first and foremost, going kind of back, and then I'll come back to this question too. With the hosted program, the 750 free ticket and 750 travel reimbursement, one thing to note, really focus should be getting in by the end of the week here. So it'd be by end of day tomorrow. There's a little bit of wiggle room if you got to work on it over the weekend. There's some, it's a few
Yeah.
questions in there, but really focus on getting that in this week because that program will close out Monday of next week. So make
Okay.
sure if you're interested in the whole program, we can walk through that. But the reason, why, those who should attend and be there, and haven't, if you haven't heard of it before, it's there's so many common connections of people in the space there.
Yeah.
And, you said it best of it's the one spot where you can come in, you can talk about acquisition, you can talk about retention, voluntary and involuntary churn, and everybody's
Yeah.
going to get what you're talking about. Everybody's going to know, like, okay, it's the same mindset.
Right.
And, we originally started off focused on just subscription boxes when we were building the event because we were running a subscription box ourselves. And over time, we eventually did exit that business and our full focus is on SubSummit. Um, Over time, we started layering in, let's add the streaming folks to this, let's add membership. This year, find a great opportunity to help bring nonprofits into the circle. And it really started, the catalyst for that was in 2019 when Sling TV attended. And so they learned something from MeUndies, an underwear subscription, that had a six-figure impact immediately to their bottom line.
Wow.
And it was about how to help with churn and cancellation and different things like that. So here you have a streaming
That's right.
provider learning from, a physical subscription. And that's where kind of like the light bulb went off, like, wow, we should really be finding great ways for all these different types of companies to get
That's
together,
right.
all these different types of organizations. So, there's tons of opportunity to go deep on those conversations. And if you look at the speakers, the attendee list, different things, and you say like, well, I don't see somebody exactly like me, that's a little bit by design because
That's
that's
right.
where a lot of ideas happen too.
I actually love that so much. It's interesting. I've been a part of mastermind programs where I am definitely like the only nonprofit, somebody who works in the nonprofit space. And I've learned so much for the other businesses that are there that have absolutely different things that they
Mhm.
focus on. But that's where like it's like you would never think of or get advice from somebody in the space that way
Yeah,
necessarily. So like this proximity is huge. I do
yeah.
also want to state that from a speaker session perspective, I want to ask you about like which ones you think nonprofits should go to. And I want to highlight that Trevon Williams from the NAACP is literally like one of the first keynoters to talk about just Why did you do that? Why did you set that up? Why do you think it's so important to have a nonprofit voice?
So I mean, I think, mainly because we see a lot of similarities across the board with nonprofits and for-profit entities in terms of it all starts with the relationship with the consumer, with the donor, with those that are coming in to engage with that brand or that organization. And one of the things Trevon's going to be talking about is how you can use more than just the membership, how you're creating that catalyst for that relationship, how you can expand it
Right.
in so many different ways with your audience, with those that are engaging with you. Because what we're seeing today and all the conversations that I have when we talk about sessions I'm excited for, you're asking me to pick my favorite child, and that's impossible. I actually have 4 kids in real life, and they all say they're my favorites, and they are.
That's right.
So all my speakers are amazing, and there's a wealth of knowledge across so many different topics.
I'm going to
But
drop the schedule in for everybody too.
yeah, it's really come together nicely, and we've had a lot of fun talking to some amazing brands from, Panera Bread. I'm just kind of looking around the room here. Some we have Shipped, Wellbell, Washington Post, YouTube, Netflix, you name it. Some awesome
So
ones in the
cool.
room. And so the common thread, as I was talking to speakers throughout the year and talking about topics and things we're going to bring to the stage, is the relationship starts. The core starts with that subscription, that membership that they have. And it's so integral to the business. And that ties into a lot of our theme for this year. Our theme for this year is level up commerce without limits. And commerce applies in the donor space as well, because it's a transaction. It's a commercial transaction that's happening. And because that relationship starts as subscription, it really opens the limits of where you can go from there.
That's
Where
right.
you can go from your brand and your engagement to upsells, cross sells, promotions, continuing to be you become part of each other's lives in that way.
Yes. And there was a question that came in earlier about the roundtables.
Yeah.
Can you speak a little bit to those?
Yeah. The industry roundtables are something we started to roll out last year, and it's really fun because our software that they use for the hosted program, everything's in one platform. So whether it be you go through the hosted program for the travel reimbursement and taking some mutually matched meetings with some suppliers, which we'll come back around to here, down to the roundtables, down to planning your time there. The roundtables, what you can do is look at the program, and within there, it'll give you a couple different options of topics that you may be most interested in learning about. And what I'd recommend as you get into and start to take a look at that, what are the things that are weighing on you most right now, or you're thinking about the most, whether it be email marketing or retention or certain acquisition strategies that you want to do. It'll then algorithmically match you with the closest, similar, most like-minded people, whether it be from revenue standpoint, your title in the
Amazing.
organization, and the software will then put you at a roundtable together with those individuals to talk about that particular topic. And you can do it over 2 days. So you can do it Thursday morning and Friday morning, or you can just select one if you want to. And then we have dedicated time for you to sit there. And then we provide some talking points at the table to make it easy for you. We can really dive in and talk more about those topics and help each other at that
That's
time.
nice, because a lot of times you might never know you're sitting next to someone who
Yeah.
has exactly the right answer. But if you're both just sitting there quiet watching something, and then you both leave the room, then you have no idea that was exactly the person that you needed to talk to the whole time. That is that like answer to that one lingering question that you have. So I love that idea, and I love that it's facilitated like that as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. I mean, it comes back to, you mentioned this earlier, and I've heard you talk about it before, is the power of proximity,
Yes.
right? Just being around people, and what we really try with the event design and the layout to create serendipitous interactions as much as possible.
Yeah.
Give you the opportunity to meet other great like-minded people. The badges, you can tell the difference between a merchant and a supplier badge. So that way you can kind of look and see, this color badge are going to be people that are also merchants in the space. This color badge are going to be suppliers and people that might be interested in learning solutions from and things like that. So it helps you kind of narrow down and identify, and then create a lot of networking opportunities and different things like that.
Awesome. I do want to ask about the merchant. So for the conversations that happen with the free ticket, what's the best way for somebody to know this is somebody that I should be talking to, or I'm curious, or I want to learn more about, when I know there's over 100 options, I think, right?
Yeah, in terms of the match meetings that you're
Yes.
talking about. Yeah, so that's part of the hosted program. When you apply, if you're over 500,000 revenue, you'll get approved for the free ticket and the travel reimbursement. Part of that, you're also agreeing to take some on-site meetings, which the software will allow you to select who you want to meet with. And these are double opt-in, mutually matched meetings. So you're only going to meet people you say, yeah, I'm interested in meeting with those people,
So important.
those individuals. So when you go through the software, you'll see all the different types of companies. You'll see vendors that are postcard companies that, like Postpilot helps send out postcards that are targeted and tracked and things like that, or Davis and Gilbert, a law firm, if you have questions about legal things, or packaging like Box Genie, different companies that are within there. And then they go through and say, I'm interested in meeting with these people. And then if you both agree to that, you're mutually matched. And you'll be scheduled there's time blocks throughout the event. You'll be scheduled to sit down and chat with them just for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
No obligation or anything from there. And
Speed
because
dating.
you've expressed interest, those are solutions you're looking for, people you want to meet, things you want to learn about and talk. So that's what I encourage you, go through and select the companies that you're most looking for solutions from right now or have interest in learning from.
Awesome. And I think this can expand in the nonprofit space too, is there a potential partnership there? Like, think about this from a totally different perspective. Yes, you might want to use, absolutely, the postcard's a great example. There's a nonprofits use a lot of direct mail and the experience, but is there also maybe an actual partnership in there where they want an impact-based relationship with you because they believe in your mission and they want to do something this is where I really want to, and this is going to lean into the next thing that I wanted to bring up about this power of proximity and being in the room with some of these major subscription players and these companies, these vendors, is to think outside the box. Like you were talking about, the event is all about leveling up. How can we think so differently? Something that I wrote about in my book that I was thinking is going to be the future of subscriptions for good is the concept of bundling. What could that look like? Like if you are, I think I wrote about an example in the book of, if you are a organization that's trying to end the water crisis, is there a for-profit water bottle company that is eco-friendly and you partner together, and with every monthly giving subscription, a bottle is donated or something from them? There are so many things that you can just think about and just start the conversations, because you don't know until you start asking, what are you struggling with? What are you working on? Tell me about your consumers, your audience. Oh, this is what we do. This is what we're working on. Where's the commonalities? Just being in the room and having that face-to-face interaction over a coffee or over a cocktail, makes a huge difference. And I know you've mentioned this, this is not the first time or the first year that nonprofits have attended this event.
No, actually, very, very strong attendance from, various different nonprofits in the past. I see YMCA from various different YMCAs wandering around
Awesome.
the event, so often throughout it. And the feedback has always been tremendous in terms of what they've learned, the conversations they've had. This year in the Middle Lake Expo Hall, we'll have the Power Pavilion. It's a great place to kind of chill and relax,
Cool.
grab a coffee, play a video game. If you want to play a video game, we'll have some of that stuff in there. But just get a chance to meet people. We have lots of places to lounge and hang out and carry on those conversations. And you're right, you never know who you're going to talk to and who you're going to learn from. You talk about bundling, big conversation at SubSummit every year, because bundling continues to grow and grow and grow and create more opportunities. So who will you meet where, you may have a brand that, John Roman from BattleBox may be wandering and say, we've been thinking about incorporating some give back into our purchase flow.
Yeah.
And how do we bundle maybe some give back in there, and looking at for those types of opportunities. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do find themselves, Oma's Pride and O'Brien McDonald, could there be, a shelter or Humane Society or somebody that would want to partner with their raw dog food company and doing some sort of give back like that too. So tons of opportunities, because there's so many different types of brands that are going to be in there. One of the things I think that you've been talking about, and I'm curious, from your side, as consumers' expectations are shifting and, you see brands like Spotify and Amazon there, how do you see nonprofits, I guess, responding to meet the expectations of donor experiences? Is that something you're encouraging people to have conversations with about?
Absolutely. And I think this will be an interesting part about talking about the donor experience and the consumer experience on the front end for the acquisition, and also what we're seeing for retention. I think overall it's really important for organizations to pay attention to what's happening in the overall trends of the space. I think I'm pulling up the schedule. Like one of the first sessions is all about subscriptions on the ropes, overcoming friction and finding a path forward. Like what is happening? Because I think what usually, and I think hopefully this switches and there's learnings from both sides, but a lot of the times startups or the for-profit space leads with a strategy and it ends up trickling into our world. Sometimes it happens at the same time and that there's innovation happening that fast. But something really big that's happening right now is making sure that the donor experience is extremely optimized. There is no friction when you go to
Right.
make the ask. And really since COVID had this really big surge in nonprofit tech, the creation of new platforms, optimizing forms, thinking mobile first. Like 2020 was really when there was a big like boom in that because there had to be, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
everyone was massively giving digitally because that's what they had to do. The events were shut down. And so tech realized that and maybe they were slower. And so it hasn't really been the nonprofits' fault. It's been the tech that's provided to our sector. And why I am actually very excited about all of the vendor opportunities is that they've probably moved faster than some of the nonprofit tech ones do.
Yeah. I've seen that in some ways, and that's
Yeah.
been a super interesting observation.
And a lot of times, though, I actually had a conversation with an organization that has a very large, actually, recurring giving program. And he's like, I'm in this middle space where the nonprofit solutions don't work for me anymore. And how do I get to like this next stage? And I was like, that's a really interesting conversation. And so I think it'll be interesting for orgs to be in the room with these vendors that might not typically market to them
Mhm.
and to have those
Yeah.
conversations.
Yeah. And even from the vendors and then talking to the brands about what they're doing. I was at an event a couple weeks back called Commerce Roundtable, and there's a speaker there talking about kind of the selection, offering different packages and small little tweaks that you could do along the way. And he was focused on subscribe and save. But there's still a lot of similarities in there in terms of some of the key takeaways about giving customers options, right? You can select to this level of donation, this level of
Right.
donation, or this
Of course.
level of donation, labeling them appropriately, showing discounts, showing kind of, what the frequency is and giving different frequency options. And so, that really is, as much as I've lived in this space for over a decade now, I still am things like, wow, that's a great idea. Like it's amazing to me the number of people that I talk to, and I'm like still finding amazing new things every single day. And that's what
Yeah.
that's what I love about this space too. Is it's so fun. And so yeah, I think there's just so many different ways to learn and grow.
There are, and I think something that I'm very excited about, I wanna let everybody know. So I will be there. I am going to host on the very first day a nonprofit meetup on the 28th. It's at 11 a.m. Central Time because this is happening in Dallas. And it is meant for us to gather. So there's a couple, I think there's 2 sessions before that. And then afterwards, meet me at the meetup. Let's come together. Let's brainstorm. Find like your subscription for good buddy is basically what I'm calling it. Like, don't do this event by yourself. Find somebody that wants to learn similar things or divide and conquer. Be like, you go to that session. I'm going to go to this session. And afterwards, let's meet up and exchange notes. Also, if there are specific companies that you want to meet with, let's talk about a plan. Like, let's talk about what would be a good ask or an idea or a way to talk to them after their session. What should you bring up? Like, this is where we have an hour together, meet one another, brainstorm, find your buddy. Like this is what it's for. If you're like, I'm not sure how to tackle this, that's what we're doing.
Yeah. And by the way, too, if there's ever any way our team can be helpful in helping make introductions or finding people or,
Amazing.
pointing in direction, the team is fantastic. We have a little bit lighter gray shirts this year than this darker gray one that I have. It says some SubSummit across the front of it. And
Awesome.
everyone's always super eager to help and find great ways to create the best experience for you possible.
Yeah, because at
So
the end of the
any
day,
way we
that's
can
as
alleviate.
event organizers, that's the only thing that we want to have happen.
That's it. That's it.
That's it. Okay, so as we wrap, I do want to ask final question. If someone is watching this, they're on the fence about whether it's the right fit, there is like a day and a half to register. What would you say to nudge them over the line?
Boy, if you have interest in growing your membership, growing your recurring revenue, if you see any form of opportunity, even if it's small, it's an absolute no-brainer to be at SubSummit. From free ticket, travel reimbursement, down to once you get on site there, the energy and excitement that you'll feel, it gives you an opportunity to step outside of the organization, focus on kind of the bigger picture, look at where things are
Yes.
going, learn and grow. I attend many events a year, not just because I'm an event junkie and love learning and growing, but because I find inspiration in so many different ways. These are your people. This is a chance for you to meet
That's
other
right.
like-minded, great individuals. A business mentor of mine once told me, you're the average of the five people you surround yourself with the most. And so this is your chance to continue to raise that average. There's so many great, amazing, smart people in the room that you can learn and grow from. So if that's not enough reasons, I don't know.
I love it, Paul. It's
Yeah.
so helpful. And honestly, like the purpose of what I've set out is you will not grow nearly as fast if you stay within the four boundaries of the walls of your organization. We have, and even in the sector, like we have to get out and explore and test and see what's happening out there and bring it back and just have our mind. I mean, I mirror this a lot too. I've lived in Florida and New York and LA and now Georgia and traveled fortunately abroad, and like just to see the perspectives are like so different once you can live around
Yeah.
different people and see different things and have different conversations where you're like, I never even thought of that before. Like that wasn't even in my purview,
Yeah.
right? And that's what this is about. It's like I cannot explain the importance of just being in the room.
Yeah.
Is so powerful.
Yeah. Back to the
So
power of
Paul, thank
proximity.
you so much. For putting on this event and joining me when it's like literally weeks away to the event. I'm sure your schedule is bananas.
It's all good. Well, thank you. I was just packing pallets and boxing things up. So this is a great break from that, because it was a lot of work.
Bring you on camera.
Yeah. No, this is way better.
Well,
Thank
I'm
you so
excited to
much.
see you in just a couple of weeks. So thank you again for having me. I'll be speaking. I'll be doing a podcast interview with Trevon, and I'll be like cheering him on from the front row. So Paul, thank you to you and your team for putting this all together.
Thank you, Dana. Truly appreciate it.
If you guys have any other questions, drop them in the chat. I can come back here and then watch this video if you're watching it afterwards, 1.5 times speed to get all the answers to your questions. And then I'll see you all in Dallas. Bye, everybody.